I retired in 2016. Again, I was trying to think of what I want to do for the rest of my career, and I thought, and I came up with the thought of supplying a blog.
You did a very nice talk on supply chain renaissance.
Yes, yeah.
Very interesting concept.
We're in a period of renaissance, which is a period of rebirth. As we come out of the pandemic showed to every.
This video is brought to you by us, SCMDOJO. We provide awesome courses, guides, best practices for supply chain community.
Hi folks, I'm in Mississauga, Ontario. I was actually visiting Cancun for the conference and I just head up here. It's a short hop for about 3.5 hours. And I thought it's a great opportunity to do a little event which we're doing at one of the colleges right now. And I have legendary Mike Morton with me, right? Morton is one of the biggest, actually the biggest blogger of supply chain and the founder of the Supply Chain Game Changer. So the purpose of this episode of the Supply Chain Show today is to learn the story of Mike and how the Supply Chain Game Changer was born and what is the vision going forward. Mike, how are you, mate?
Hey, thank you.
Good.
Muddassir.
So without wasting your time, so tell us about yourself and how the Supply Chain Game Changer was born and where you're going with this.
Yes, thanks for the opportunity to talk to you and meet you finally face to face. I started supplychaingamechanger.com 7 years ago in 2016.
Right.
I retired at that time, and I was thinking about things I would do. And I got to reflecting. I had just finished a 35-year career in supply chain operations, logistics, executive management, running operations all over the world.
You've done a lot of jobs, right? So maybe what roles?
I graduated with my industrial engineering degree from the University of Toronto.
Like us,
Got my MBA in York University, north of here.
Yeah.
I started my career with IBM, working in manufacturing, supply chain, logistics, IT, engineering, running operations. From IBM, I was part of the Toronto manufacturing facility, and I was one of the founding executives that spun off that operation and became a company called 𝐜𝐨𝐽𝐿, which is one of the largest electronic manufacturing services companies in the world today. So I started that company. I worked in sales and marketing when it was just me and two other guys with a couple of desks and phones, and that's how that company started. Then I worked in various operations, running manufacturing facilities and logistics and supply chain operations all over the world. I left there and joined a company called Indigo, which is a Canadian-based company. It started off as a book reseller, but they were transforming to handle more general merchandise, toys and electronics and household items and fashion items and that kind of stuff. And the book industry is very different
right now
from all these other kinds of goods that we used to handle. In the book industry, for instance, you could return 100% of the product that you didn't sell. So their supply chain processes and their whole business processes were not really equipped to handle all this different merchandise they were selling. So I was hired to come in and help transform the whole business and the business processes to handle all this new business, and of course run all their supply chain and distribution center operations.
What was the later part of the career before your retirement?
And then my last job was I took over as a chief operating officer of a company called Mortson, which is a Boston-based global logistics and distribution center operation. So I was running about two dozen different operations around the world for them. Then I retired in 2016. Again, I was trying to think of what I want to do for the rest of my career, and I thought, as I thought back and reflected, I thought, geez, I had a wonderful career. I got to work with a lot of great people, a lot of different companies, different industries. Had a lot of great accomplishments and did a lot of great things, met people all over the world. And I came up with the thought of supplying a blog, the fundamental mission of which is to share experiences and expertise to help everyone and anyone who needs it. So my first year of writing in 2017, really. I launched at the beginning of 2017. It's all 100% my content. Anything that I write on the site is based on my experiences, my expertise, things I've done, what's worked, what hasn't worked, as well as my kind of vision on what I think the supply chain can be for the future. Because as I think about it, I think we're in a period of time when this is the area to be in any part of industry or business, in supply chain. When you think of the plethora of technologies that are available, whether it be blockchain or artificial intelligence, you hear about ChatGPT, you think about autonomous vehicles, virtual reality, augmented reality, predictive analytics, big data, all of this stuff. It all comes together in supply chain. All the expertise and all the leadership to pull that together comes under supply chain. And it's what I call the digital supply chain. That is the future. It requires a different set of business processes, a different set of skills, a different set of leadership capability, a lot of investment. But to me, that's the future. It's going to define business and careers for decades to come, which is why I think supply chain is so exciting.
It's absolutely 100% right. That's what we do at CMDOJO, because we are more friends than the competition, and I think we have a lot of we share a lot of contents together as well. But I was in one of your, I think we were together in one of the virtual panel discussion, and you did a very nice talk on supply chain renaissance. Very interesting concept. So very quickly mention that.
That's what I call it. That's what I think we are. We're in a period of renaissance, which is a period of rebirth. As we've come out of the pandemic showed to well, first of all, it did two things. Most people probably before the pandemic didn't know what supply chain was, right? Unless you were in the industry or in the business. But now, through the pandemic, you heard probably your neighbors, your friends, your family, politicians. It's on the news every night. Even today, you'll hear people talk about supply chain. It doesn't mean they understand it, but they understand the implications of what happens when it doesn't work. They don't have their products. Store shelves are empty. So to me, that has created the catalyst for this new period, which I call the supply chain renaissance, combined with a need to change, a willingness to change, an interest to change, and all of these technologies that we have available. I think that's the supply chain renaissance, right? And it's it all comes down to what I have written about and published on my site is what I believe this is a period of time which is supply chain's moment of truth. Right? So the number one issue I think that we have in our way for making all this forward progress, or probably two, and you could switch them in terms of what you think is more important. One is inertia and the other is complacency. Right.
Explain that.
Even though we're out of the pandemic forced people to see how important supply chain was, how important the need for change was. The problem is now that we got past the pandemic, far too many people are just going to, go back to the old ways of doing things. They'll have forgotten how painful it all was, and they won't make the investments. They don't have the leadership to make the kind of change they need to. That's why I think it's a moment of truth. That's why complacency, I think, would be a problem. And inertia would be a problem. Because implementing a digital supply chain will take decades, and it's hard. Making changes happen is hard. It's hard work. It needs leadership, unlike anything most people have done. If I think of my career, a lot of the great successes I had all came out of not changing systems, but changing cultures, the way people think, and changing paradigms about what can be accomplished.
Now, I want to talk about supply chain game changer, right? You are a profile. You write a lot, right?
Yes.
You're a very prolific writer. You've written about 800 plus articles. So what's your method? How you do this, right? So just very quickly, method of creating content.
Well, there's actually almost 2,400 articles now on the site. Now, first of all, the site is so popular, I get guest contributions every day.
Okay.
Virtually every day, people want to write for the site. And
The backlink ones, yeah.
And again, my fundamental mission is to share experiences and expertise. That doesn't mean just my experience and expertise, but anybody's. It's a tool that's available there for everybody. In terms of what I decide to write one week to the next, I have a spreadsheet with a lot of ideas categorized in terms of things I want to talk about in the future, and it depends on what's happening from one day to the next, or 1 week to the next, what illustrates my interest. When the pandemic happened, one of the first things that I experienced was going to the store and seeing there's no toilet paper on the shelves. So, and there's a lot of other foodstuffs that you couldn't get. So I started writing articles about the pandemic, paying attention to what was going on about the pandemic. When there was a Suez Canal blockage a couple of years ago, it struck me, okay, there's one of the problems in supply chain is when you have single points of failure. So if you're single sourcing goods or suppliers, if anything happens to that can take your whole supply chain down. So I have a whole series on that. I have a series on what I call the supply chain detective.
Interesting.
It's when you think about it, there's a lot of investigative work that goes on in supply chain to get to the root of what problems are and to solve them. So I have a roadmap of different ideas. Current events might strike me in some way. Supply Chain Game Changer is not about the daily news. My site is designed to have evergreen content. So you can look at what I've written 5 years ago, and 4 years ago, it'll still be relevant.
So where are you heading? So what's your plan of the site? Of course, the mission and vision is clear, right? You are a business, right? Not, you are essentially a business, as far as I know. So where are you heading with this? Where you see Supply Chain Game Changer in 5 years? Maybe you want to sell it to SCMDOJO. We'll buy. We'll definitely buy that.
That's
but on joke aside, but what's the vision?
It's just to continue growing the audience. Right. I think that supply chain will be more important 5 years from now. People will realize it more than they have before. So it's just to continue to grow the audience, continue to communicate the message. A lot of stuff I write about, we talk about the supply chain renaissance or the digital supply chain or supply chain's moment of truth. Some of that is paradigm shifting stuff for people that not everybody has their head around those concepts. So continuing to convey those messages, just keep repeating it so people hear it more and more and more and get that message out. So it helps to advance the profession and help the economy, help humanity.
That's great. Now, last question. We have not prepared for this, so it's a curveball. Let's see what Mike answers that. So we recently launched our pro membership, right? We have recorded a lot of courses, guides. So our aim is to help supply chain thrive. So we have this launching the membership, right? And how we want to collaborate together doing Supply Chain Game Changer, 𝐬𝐸𝐸, so we can help your audience. So how you see that?
Well, I already have, because you gave me this a couple of years, 2 or 3 years ago, link on my site to your site. So if people want to sign up for courses, I think you offered a discount there, so that you can see that if you look at the bottom of the site. To me, your site is so important, and the name says it all: Supply Chain Dojo. Right? So I took karate for a few years. And you think of the dojo, you go in there to train your mind, body, and spirit. Right? So
you are an official ambassador right now, I guess.
Right. So he did not tell me to say that. But it's the truth. So obviously, if you go to the site, take courses around Supply Chain Dojo, it's not going to help your body per se, but in terms of advancing your mind, your intellect, and advancing you in your profession. That's clearly what it does. My site is not tailored to that. I'm not offering courses or training. I'm offering content based on experiences to help people advance. So
thank you. No, that's great. So we recently launched our membership, and we have a new affiliate program actually, which extended to, because initially we couldn't offer affiliate program to our membership. We only offered to the individual courses respectively. So we changed that. That's a news for you. You didn't know. I'm just telling you right now. And we have made a special graphic for you, which I'll have to send it to you by email. So everybody who's a fan of Supply Chain Game Changer, will get discounts for all the membership and all the content, which is much more high value. Mike, I think you're doing a great job, right?
Thank
you.
I
think
thank you.
there's, thank you very much as well. There's not a lot of people of your experience is sharing their knowledge, and not just knowledge, is with the frequency you do is, oh my God, is inspiring and actually very, I feel, we write 4 blogs in a month, right? Mike writes 4 in a week, so it's just crazy efficient.
Between me and my guest contributors, and I have a lot. And to me, that just reflects the interest in the site and the mission.
Yes, right? Absolutely, fantastic. So, any last words for the supply chain?
No, please subscribe to Supply Chain Game Changer. Check the content out. If you search for, go in the search bar. If there's anything of interest from 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week to the next, I guarantee you're going to find something on supplychaingamechanger.com that suits anything you're looking for.
Good.
And get the training and education that you get through Supply Chain Dojo.
Right.
I'm not getting paid for that endorsement.
No, but
it's genuine.
Thank you. So my last piece of collaboration is this. Mike is now an expert on our new expert marketplace we launched. Mike has written 3 ebooks which will be available on our platform. So as well. So Mike ebooks, which again using his lot of experience. I think one of them is inventory. One of them is on the leadership. Right.
And the other one's on the pandemic
stuff.
Right?
So that will be available. And so go and enjoy. Mike, thank you very much.
Thanks.
You traveled 1 hour. I really appreciate that. That interview was not planned, total impromptu. So I appreciate Mike being super cool. Thank you.
Traveled a lot farther than I did.
Thank you. Okay, guys. Cheers. Thank you. Bye bye.